to watch your back. 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 Watch your back.
Real quick before we start the video, if you haven't got your DRZ junk sticker, DRZ giveaway junk sticker, we're closing it tomorrow at 8 a.m. We're almost out of stickers. If we go over, we'll just order a few more. We're not shipping any until everything's figured out, which should take us about a week to regroup after the giveaway. We'll pick a winner. No one will know. We kind of have an idea. We'll explain it later on, but for picking the winner, we're doing something cool. So get your sticker. You have till 8 a.m. tomorrow, my time, which is Eastern, and that's 8 a.m. Tuesday. Let's get on with the video. What's up? It's Monday. Labor Day? Is it Labor Day? I always mix up Labor Day and Memorial Day. Anyway, it's Labor Day. So I've tried to film this a few times now, and I think I've got it down to where I can make it pretty efficient. This is just a video about the past cars I've owned. We're in my garage here. This is the first time on the channel. I've had a lot of cars. So the easiest way for me to do this is I'm looking at the cars so I don't forget one. But I'm not going to name every car I've had because, like I've said in the past, I've owned close to 1,000 cars. Some people might not believe me, but we might be able to prove some of it today. So I'm just going to name the ones that were like significant to me. And in the beginning, it like sets a timeline. So after that, I just started buying. Like I've owned like stupid cars that there's no reason to mention, like a 2001 Sentra, maybe it was a 99 Sentra, trucks, Toyota trucks, just Jeep Wranglers, shit like that. There's no reason to mention them, but I'm going to mention the ones that matter to me and the ones I have pictures of, for one. At the end of this, there's going to be basically just like a slideshow of when I had I've gone through like my iCloud and my pictures and my phone and all kinds of stuff, my Facebook, and I've gotten a lot of pictures. So every car that I have a picture of, I'll put. If not, I'll put like a stock photo. You'll kind of be able to tell the difference. Because like when I first got my license and stuff, for one, taking pictures wasn't even like, I didn't care, and it wasn't as easy. Digital cameras were just coming out and the phones didn't have cameras on them, so it just didn't happen. So I'm going to start with my first car, which was a 1991 CRX SI in Tahitian green. I bought this car like somewhat modified. It had skunk tooth lowering springs and KYB AGXs, just suspension mods, sway bars, stuff like that. Really clean car, no rust, which was rare even back then, and it was awesome. Then my second car was a 1989 CRX SI in Y49 yellow. There's like a curse about the Y49 curse. Look that up if you're interested. I didn't have any issues with the car. I ended up taking that car. That had a ZC swap, which is a dual cam D series. Made like 130 horsepower. It was a little slower than an LS engine, especially for like a 93, OBD1 LS engine. I ended up trading that car in a Captiva blue hatch that I got for cheap that was rusted out and stuff for a 92 Civic CX with a 99 Integra GSR swap with really low miles. Super clean swap. Got it from this guy in Pennsylvania. And I drove that car for a while. It was a stock car with just the engine. I ended up putting new speed springs, Coney shocks, sway bars, I think Integra sway bars, I don't really remember, and 13 by 8 inch Kaiser wheels, which are like these kind of like drag autocross wheels. And they stuck out a little bit. I was hecka flush back then. They had Kumo V710 R compounds on them, which I just dailied, like didn't care. Things shot rocks everywhere. The car was really fun. It pulled really hard. I remember I beat my buddy's STI with it. It was a pretty quick car. So then an old man ran me off the road. He was in the middle of the road. I came up over this hill and I had to choose where to go, and I hit this embankment and spun the car around. The car was about to get painted. It had like clear coat fade, so there was like nothing in the car. I ended up parting the car out. It was actually my first part out, and it was the beginning of the chop shop. I got out of cars for a little while. Got a street bike. Doesn't matter. Got an '04 Gixxer 600 when I was 17, and then, or maybe I was just turned 18, and then I bought an MR2 NA SW20. Love that car. It was sick in the snow. It was such a fun car to drive. It's one car I miss a lot. I do have pictures of that. And I don't know what happened to that car. I must have sold it, and I bought an Eclipse GSX, which didn't last long. I was getting crank walk, and then I thought it'd be funny to show my friend how to launch it like aggressively as fuck, and I basically just revved it right up and just sidestepped the clutch. The car jumped like 10 feet and then just wouldn't go into any gear. I think I broke the input shaft. So from that, I started stacking parts to build that car. That car ran 13.7 at like 100 miles an hour or something. It was cool. But I was like, instead of spending so much money on building a car, I'm just going to get an Evo. Well, I was looking for an STI. Thank God I didn't get one. And I ended up finding my white 05 RS. I didn't know anything about them at the time. And I bought it. It had like 8,000 miles on it. Super clean car. But someone had it modified before. I know now. At the time I didn't know, because it was only running wastegate pressure, which is 13 pounds. It's supposed to run 19.6 stock. So I was 19 years old, just turning 20, and I got that car. And I decided to take on the loan, which was, it was a $29,000 car. I paid $565 a month. I had a 17.9% interest rate. But at 20 years old, you could have told me I had a 30% interest rate. As long as you let me leave with the car, I was going to buy it. So I bought it. I drove it basically stock for that year. I think I got it in April or somewhere around there. I drove it up until October. I put it away in October. My dad had just finished his garage, but there was no concrete floor. It was like the sand. And I built the car in the garage. No electricity, no heat, no concrete. I had like, extension cords from the house and lights, and I had like one of those like salamander heaters, but the garage was pretty big and it didn't really work good. It would like warm you up, but then you get cold working on the car. I remember my worst memory from that was I had a carbonetic twin carbon clutch, and my clutch was fine, but I knew I was going to make more power, so I decided to upgrade the clutch, and I had no place doing that. It took me like 5 days. I got it done somehow. There's like one part where you have to pull a shaft out with a slide hammer, and it got crazy. I remember just being on Evo M, just cross-referencing back and forth. So that car had a 20G 9.5, which was a 9-turbo ported and clipped to a 20G. I think they're 16G stock. It had the clutch. It had a Nisei intercooler, basic bolt-ons, garage HRS exhaust. They were like higher-end stuff. The garage HRS exhaust was big money. I worked as a used car manager, selling used cars on the internet. And I made okay money, but I didn't have any bills. I lived at home with Mom and Dad, so I was just spending every penny on my car. The car was completed April 1st, I remember, right before my birthday. It had rebuilt calipers. I rebuilt it myself, powder-coated them black. I did Ohlins Flag L's, which are external reservoir, real expensive coilovers. Full bolt-ons, Evo 9 rear bumper, and I had an auto power bolt-in cage with Sparco race seats and harnesses. And that car was awesome. It dynoed, I want to say it was like 380 wheel, and it weighed under 3,000 pounds because it was an RS, which is no power windows. It had crank windows, aluminum roof, front and rear LSDs, no sound deadening material. The RSs are sick. So I had that for a while. I parted it out. I ended up selling the car, not the shell, the driving car, all stock, to Mike at All Wheel Drive Motorsports down in Florida, who was setting records with it. You can go look it up. I think he had the fastest street-driven, guy on Sunday with a Coca-Cola in his hand. One of those records. And after I sold that, I bought. This is where I get fuzzy. After I sold that, I bought a few weird cars. I had a Celica All-Track. I had 240s. I had a bunch of stuff. And then I bought another Evo, which was an 03 GSR no sunroof, black, HIDs. That was basically like the GSR, first the SSL. That was a clean car. I bought it off my buddy. Had it for a little while. Someone made me an offer on it. I sold it. I bought an '04 RS, which was like my dream car. Still is. I want an '04 RS so bad. Found out like a week after I bought it that someone put like Cosmoline everywhere, which is like an anti-rust like wax kind of, and it was like in the engine bay. It just destroyed me. I thought I could clean it off and I couldn't, and I just had to sell the car. So I sold that. With that money, I bought my '97 Kooky manual off a kid semi-locally, and it had some mods, but he was gearing up to build it, so he had like a whole SR front clip from a Kooky. He had like a bunch of little parts, and I had a bunch of money from the Evo RS, so I bought everything. I was gearing up, stacking parts to build that car, and somebody like backed out onto my car, basically like ran right up the hood. So forget what I paid for that car. I want to say I paid like $5,000 for the actual car. They were cheaper back then, maybe $4,500, and insurance paid me like $5,000 for it. And with that money, I found my Moss Silver Kooky, which was just like so much nicer, completely stock, low miles. I think I had like 113,000 miles, and I brought that. So I was dealing the red car while building the Moss Silver. Me and my buddy Dom built the Moss Silver in 3 months. SR swap, gradient intake manifold, like all bolt-ons, all SPL suspension, Evo brakes in the front, STI brakes in the rear. I was building like a kind of like a drift car, but I had never intentions to drift it. I had like 265s in the rear. The car ended up making 370 horsepower, and I shipped it out to California. And then when I moved home from San Diego, I drove it home. No heat, no wipers, no mirrors in December. It sucked. I got hit 3 times. The 3rd time I was T-boned. It was totaled, and I parted it out, got the insurance money, and bought my first real FD. Now, I say real FD because I had owned 2 others prior while owning all the other cars. I didn't mention them, but I had owned 2 others, but this was my first running driving FD. It was a 94 Touring, had 59,000 miles on it. It was fast. It was fun. It was a really nice car. That was the one I just recently sold as a shell. So I had that. I sold to my buddy Dom when I got I wanted to do a business venture. I took half the money, invested in a business, and the other half I bought a 2-tone 240 Sylvia converted with an SR. Really fun car, but it was kind of hacked together. I went down to Florida. I bought it. I don't know what kind of power it made or anything, but it was like semi-hacked together. It was a serviceman. He just like built the car. He probably bought it semi-modded, and I had a lot of problems with the car, so I ended up selling it, and it gets fuzzy again. I bought a few Miatas. I bought a bunch of weird stuff, and then I ended up buying like my first E36, which started my whole E36 craze. Phase really, and then halfway through getting into the E36s, I started discovering BMWs, and I bought my first 135, which was a really nice 135 from the dealer, which I ended up giving it back after discovering some things. And then I bought my second 135, which is the one Rudnick currently owns. So that like kind of brings us up to where I'm at now. In between that, I owned 4 FDs at one time. I owned I'll show all the pictures I have. That's basically... Oh, one thing I missed. Damn it. I missed 2 cool cars. Somewhere in there. Before the black Evo, I owned an Evo 3 RS. And I owned an S15. The S15 was after I sold one of the FDs when I owned 4. So I'll show that. And so that started like my E36 craze, which I'm like going through the pictures right now. I probably have, who knows? I mean, these are just the pictures I found on my iCloud. I've got a ton. I've had a ton of E36s. I'd say plus or minus a few, around 150. So these are just the ones I have pictures of, and they're all like, they only make like 7 colors. You know, I don't know how many colors are, but there's like 7 main colors. And so if I saw 2 green ones, I would just take one. But I know I owned a ton of green ones. A ton of black ones, a ton of black ones. Not so many white. I don't know. I'll just show the pictures. But that brings us up to now, which I own the GTR. I really wish I kept better track of everything I owned and I had it like organized, because it would be super cool to be able to show you guys every single car. I probably own 7 Miatas. I've owned over 10 FDs. I owned an R33 non-GTR. Just heinous amounts of cars. Hondas. Like when I had my Evo, while it was down for the winter, I was driving a GSR swapped white CRXSI. You know, I've had so many cars. So like I said, I'm going to try to compile them all in this video as smoothly as I can, but it's not going to be easy just based off of what I'm looking at here. This video is going to take a long time to edit. So if you guys like this video, definitely give it the thumbs up. Comment if you have any questions. It really helps the channel when you guys like and comment. It pushes the algorithm and makes people find me easier, and I don't know. That's it. If you haven't got your DRZ stickers, get them. The giveaway closes tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern time. See you guys tomorrow.